In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the compressible day pack from Matador, a good companion for your one bag when you're one bag traveling. I'm Tom, the founder of Pack Hacker, and we do travel gear reviews like this all the time, so if you're new here, consider subscribing. Let's jump right into the Daylite16 from Matador. The Daylite16 is a slick looking pack, a tad outdoorsy, but it gives that slick and minimal look overall. At the time of this review, the compressible pack is available in two colors. We have indigo and gray. The material is a 30D siliconized Cordura ripstop, which is a fancy way of saying silicone coated nylon, which is another fancy way of saying strong material that has some added weather resistance to it. If you look closely, you can see that the ripstop is in a hexagonal pattern. What that's going to do is it's going to prevent additional rips from happening at those points of the hexagon line. So if a rip does happen, it's not going to spread throughout the entirety of the pack. You know that dilemma that you have with your large one-bag travel backpack? Well, it's a little bit too big to take out with you to, say, the coffee shop, to bring your laptop and your work setup to do some work at. Whatever it is that you're doing when you're traveling out exploring the city, the Matador Daylite16 solves that by providing not only one, a very compressible and compact day pack, but two, something that looks good and that you're gonna be cool carrying around with you on the day-to-day when you're on your trip, and then you just leave your one bag at home, in your apartment, your Airbnb, your hotel, wherever it is that you're staying. Starting with the bag, when it's fully compressed, it is 4.6 inches long by 2.5 inches around. So you really are able to pack that thing away quite easily. And to add to that, it's 4.1 ounces, very light pack. There's a nice drawstring system that's used to cinch the bag down when it's in that compressed state. Also, the knots on the end are heat shrunk, so that's a nice little touch. There's also a red hook that you can use to, say, hang it from a carabiner or somewhere inside of your pack when not in use and you're stowing it away. When uncompressing this thing, the pouch that compresses it stays nicely attached to the inside of the day pack via a string that looks like it's made out of the same Cordura that the entire pack is made out of. It'll easily stay with the pack and you definitely won't lose it when it's inside of the bag. In the uncompressed state, you actually have a pretty sizable day pack. Definitely surprised us with how large this thing gets. You can hold a 15-inch laptop in there quite easily, potentially even larger since we did have a sleeve on it as well. There are two mesh water bottle compartments on the sides that you can use to put water bottles into or any other small items. The harness system is surprisingly sophisticated for such a small unit as well. You've got two mesh straps on the outside that create a kind of airflow. It's a little bit higher design than we would expect on a pack of this size. And then also, similar to the compressible state of the pack, you have a larger loop up here that you can hang from hooks or maybe inside of your pack, wherever you want to hang that up. And then they do have these adjustable straps at the bottom here as well. So you can kind of tailor that to your fit based on the load that you have in there, and you can contour it to your body. We have found that these mesh straps can twist up a decent amount when you're putting this thing on, so you kind of have to straighten them up, especially if you have heavier items inside, as you're really gonna feel that digging into you. There are two pockets here, so one on the outside that goes about all the way down the entirety of the pack. A little bit large in our opinion. We would prefer it to be a little bit smaller, but you know, to each their own. It depends on really what you're trying to organize and fit inside of this thing. And then moving on to that main clamshell, both of these zippers on each of these pockets are tapered, so they do have some additional weather resistance, which is pretty great, although they're small and pretty dinky. So we're gonna get into the durability on that later. We're curious to see how that holds up. This thing unzips into, again, a just massive compartment. Nothing too fancy going on inside. If you do want to organize things a little bit more, recommend getting, maybe a couple Magpul DACA pouches, some packing cubes, some additional smaller pouches to hold your items and further organize it. And that's kind of how it should be anyways. So when you're thinking of the strategy of where you'd use this pack, a lot of the times it's gonna be, within a larger one-bag travel backpack. So it's nice to have that modular pouch system anyways, so you can take things out of that one bag, pop whatever you need into here for the day, and you're good to go. You don't have to mess around with reorganizing it. Overall, the material is very thin on this thing, and if you're gonna be carrying anything fragile inside of here, we recommend that you use some type of padded packing cube or padded packing sleeve system. So for instance, this is perfect size for a 15-inch MacBook Pro. We put an in-case padded sleeve on it, and we found that that adds a lot of additional protection. if you're carrying around a camera or anything, one, it's gonna be super uncomfortable, you know, just to have that raw metal body of the camera sticking into your back. And then two, it's not gonna protect that camera properly. So we'd recommend grabbing like a padded field pocket from GoRuck or some other type of padded system, maybe even wrapping it in some clothing if you're in a pinch. But the Matador Daylite16, because it is so compressible, there's literally no padding on it. So you're gonna wanna make sure that any fragile gear that you put in here has an additional layer of protection. At the time of this review, we've been testing this thing nearly daily for about 2 months. This thing is very durable for how small and compressible it is. One of the things that we're curious to look out for is the zippers and how long those hold up. So those are pretty small. Again, you're not gonna have like 100 pounds of items in here, but they're a little bit small. The drawstring on the compression stack is a little bit thin, but we do understand why Matador made these decisions. They made the zippers smaller. They made everything as minimal as possible, so it's as lightweight as possible and compressible as possible. So we'll definitely give them a pass on that. The one thing that we did run into with this thing that we're not super hot on is we're seeing a lot of fraying around the outsides of the pack, especially where the attachment points are. So I'm not sure if the manufacturing process got a little bit sloppy, but the concept of the pack is there and it looks really great. You just see some of these craftsmanship issues in a couple areas of the pack, and we have been noticing that after our 2 months of testing. It's not affecting the usage of the pack at all. We just wish that it was a little bit tighter and cleaner. So moving on to some pros and cons, it's definitely worth the wait. Matador has done a great job getting the weight down on this thing, and likewise, it's an excellent size for stowing away in your pack. And lastly, it looks really great. Matador has done a great job with the aesthetic of this pack and making sure it looks sharp. For some of the cons, repacking can take some practice. There is some sloppy stitching on the pack, which we're not entirely jazzed about, and that front pocket feels a little bit large. Maybe it would have been better as a smaller pocket, but again, depending on what you want to fit in there, it could be perfect for you. Overall, we think the Matador Daylite16 is the near perfect companion to your larger one-bag travel backpack. Leave your larger bag in the hotel, take this thing out for the day with anything you need, and you're all good to go. Thanks for taking a look at our review on the Matador Daylite16. Be sure to head over to packhacker.com/newsletter, sign up for that newsletter, and never miss an update. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you in the next video.